Few people in the NBA today can lay a beatdown like LeBron James. As one of the greatest players of his generation, he's an extremely proud player. So while he brings glory and fame to his team, it could mean the total opposite for some of his opponents. And there's a high chance that when you run into the king, people will never forget it. Just look at what happened to Jason Terry. But before we start, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe with the notification bell to get more videos just like this one. Number 7. John Lucas III. When you combine sheer natural talent with hard work and discipline, you're sure to be one of the most intimidating players on the court. Add that to LeBron's 6'9" build, and any smaller player wouldn't stand a chance when you get in his way. His dunks most especially have been known to throw people aside or even knock them over. A prime example was John Lucas III's run-in with the King while he was playing with the Bulls. When LeBron was running towards a ball to take a pass from the outside of the three-point line, Lucas immediately attempted to block it. Little did he know that he was no more than a bump in the road for the King. Next thing you see is LeBron gracefully leaping into the air, jumping over Lucas's head, finally smashing the ball into the basket. Though it was a bit embarrassing, Lucas is able to laugh it off now. So there's no bad blood here, just really good game. Number 6. The Raptors. These series of games was really a dark era for all Raptor fans, including Drake, and it was especially brutal for the team. The Raptors were just unlucky enough to have match after match against the Heat where they would lose time and time again, sometimes in the most humiliating ways possible. This humiliation lasted for 2 whole years, to every Raptors fan's dismay. Too bad the King was really milking it too with his constant taunts and showboating. Example of these have LeBron going to the stands and pretending to drink beer while in the middle of the game and spinning the ball in his hands before a shot, making it seem like he was doing a free throw. Perhaps the worst of these came when they faced off in 2018 when the Raptors thought they had a decent shot at winning the game. See, they had been able to close the score gap between the last 2 quarters with sheer effort, only to have LeBron throw one basket at the last second to close the game and any hope that they might have had left. Number 5. Angola Olympic Team. In the 2008 Olympics, the USA team had a lot to prove since in 2004 they only took home the bronze medal, so this time they had pulled out all the stops. They got star players from all over the country, and of course, this included the King himself, to finally go for a coveted gold medal. In their game against Angola, the US team had been leading with 12 points when LeBron spots the opponent's shooter dipping down for a shot. He then leaves his post and moves towards the player, jumps and swats the ball from his hand before he even gets to the top of his jump. The player was flung towards the edge of the court, and the ball went flying as LeBron spiked it, a satisfying sound echoing through the arena. Number 4. Jason Terry. Ah yes, this rivalry resulted to one of the most savage dunks in NBA history. In fact, it's still celebrated until today, to Terry's dismay. To give it a bit of context, in 2011, Jets Mavericks won the finals against the Heat, and one of the highlights of that season was Jets' clutch three-pointer over LeBron that led them to win Game 5. Since Terry was a frequent LeBron and Heat trash talker, a lot of fans were aching for a rematch. 2 years later, our prayers were answered, but this time, the Jets were playing with the Celtics. Prior to the game, LeBron's team had been on a winning streak, and when ESPN asked for Terry's opinion about the record, he said he wasn't really impressed, adding that he'd rather focus on his team instead. Ooh, I think we know what would happen next. In the last 10 seconds of their rematch, LeBron pulls a fast break and does one of the most vicious alley-oops over the Boston guard. And if that wasn't enough to send the message, the King even made sure to stare down at the fallen Terry. This was definitely payback. In his post-match interview, LeBron said, quote, "The fact that it happened to JT made it that much sweeter, because we all know JT and he talks too much sometimes, and I'm glad it happened to him." End quote. Number 3. Marcus Smart. As a scrappy player, the Celtics shooting guard is known to give 100% energy and passion in every game, sometimes too passionate that he becomes overly sensitive, especially after hard fouls. Granted, most of his on-court scuffles don't expand beyond verbal jibes and the occasional shoving. Nonetheless, it has happened quite a lot. His most serious one was a fallen altercation back in college, but among his repertoire, there was one small run-in with the King that I think is worth mentioning. As a defensive player, Smart is pretty reliable when it comes to guarding opponents bigger than himself. However, there are a lot of times that he's shoved like a ragdoll when things get too physical. In a 2016 match between the Celtics and the Cavs, LeBron was pretty much dominating the game, scoring points after points. At one point during the third quarter, Smart was being mercilessly shoved while LeBron was attempting to shoot. The referee halted the game, and you could clearly see Smart talking smack, but the king didn't even give him the time of day. What made this really memorable was LeBron's meme-worthy "Who even is this guy?" face. Forget being remembered for a humiliation. He didn't even think that Marcus was worth humiliating. Number 2. Metta World Peace. Ronald William Artest Jr., or Metta World Peace, yes, that legally became his name at one point, is regarded as one of the best defensive players of his generation. In his prime, he was often sought after by multiple teams for his ability to shut down enemy offense aces like it was nothing. His defense record remained more or less untainted by his multiple on-court encounters with the king that proved to taint his reputation. LeBron would often beat out Metta's defense playstyle with his pure offensive power. In one of LeBron's games against Indiana, the king actually went in front of Indiana fans to ask if he was really their best player. Ouch! Needless to say, it pissed off everyone in the stands, and especially the man in question. Number 1. Stephen Curry. Steph and LeBron had a healthy rivalry going, with LeBron always going for Steph in their games and vice versa. And while there wasn't necessarily bad blood between the two, that isn't to say that there weren't any humiliating moments either. In a game between the Cavs and the Warriors for the NBA 2016 Finals, the king was in possession of the ball, with Steph marked on him outside the three-point line. Approaching the basket, LeBron actually starts to do a little dance in front of his rival before passing it down the court to his teammate for an easy alley-oop. Shortly after this, Steph had the chance to return the favor, with him holding the ball and LeBron guarding him. He manages to slip between him at first, but as he launches into the air for his shot, the ball is snapped back the court with a single slap from LeBron. So what do you think of the 7 times LeBron James humiliated his opponents? Let us know with your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. And if you're new to the channel, give us a like, as it helps us out a lot. And while you're at it, don't forget to subscribe with the notification bell to get more interesting videos just like this one.